Mandarin to me.
Yeah.
Where's Thea? Hello, everybody. Good evening. Good morning. Good everything. Excuse me, wherever in the beautiful world you are. Thea was in here a few minutes ago, and I see she's disappeared. So I hope you'll pop back there.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful to have Tom Althouse back with us again, and we pretty much doing a Q&A here on quite a few of the questions we've had over time, and also going to invite them for Tom. If you have any, it would be great to have a discussion around that. So Tom, but in the meantime, hello, welcome. Hello, Morné.
Hello, and hello, Tom, man. I missed you. I haven't seen you in weeks. Looking good.
Yeah, out in the wilderness, I was like, yeah, so much has happened. It seems like it's nice to be home. Yeah.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what's been happening with you, Tom? Let's just talk about where you're at and what's happening. And I got to tell you, you're looking very suave.
Oh, heck yeah. I'm going to go through Earl Flynn thing. But yeah, so I was just thinking, yeah, there's so much going on. It's like the other side is in uproar. And so basically there's a lot of interaction going on right now, quite like trolls appearing, shadow banning, spraying in the skies right over our house where they spray real low, like at 3 a.m. in the morning. Got a lot of footage of that. Another 302 attempt yesterday. They tried to have me hauled off again. And they're using their researchers to go through any shows. There have been so many shows. They're going through all the shows like their attorneys do and try to find any clip that might look like they could put me away as a mass murderer. And it's like all they could find was something where my sister was given this clip to play over and over to my mom to try to get her to break all contact with Aiden and I. And it was a clip where it said, I really want this horror to stop. And I didn't mention names or anything. And so my sister took that and said, she was told to use that and say, well, that means Tom's going to murder me. I'm like, no, it doesn't. And so I talked to the police down here in Texas, which are great, actually. I love the police officer that came out. And I told him, I said, this is what's being used. And he said, that's nothing. That's not a threat at all. You're not saying a name. You're not using it. There's no weapon. There's no intent. All you're saying is you want it to stop. And said, and he said, your sister sounds like she's, very unhinged. And so it's working against them now. Their tactics that the congressman is using fielding my sister to do all this harm is not working. It's firing back in their face. And so now we're being advised to do counter charges. And once the documentary is done, I do want to do some counter charges on this insane activity, which is very paranoid and delusional.
A 302 is a
it's a tactic used in this country where basically you just froze.
Where you get locked up. Always freezing.
Someone has to say that.
What can I say?
You're frozen like this. You're like Broadway, but yeah, Fosse.
Of course, I had to freeze like this. I had to be so dramatic. I keep telling you, I'm the next actor in your movie.
Well, I know I got part Italian in me somewhere, so this is all good. This is like, it was very Fosse. It was like a poster for the show. Anyway, yeah. Annie, get your notebook. But yeah, so basically, a 302 was a person has to say that the person said directly they're going to shoot somebody, kill somebody, and they're going to commit suicide. It's like, yeah, really. So she keeps doing it over and over, and the FBI uses her to say, okay, claim that he said this. And then she starts saying, well, he calls me all the time and says it. Like, that'd be a real good conversation. And I'm like, check the phone records. I do not. In fact, the only message I ever gave, yesterday I gave a message finally because she was abusing my mom, where she had to call the Center for the Elderly Abuse. She wouldn't stop and making threats. And so she did. And then I left a message for her saying, please stop harming mom. And no one's out to get you. There's no way, but please stay out of our lives. Please leave us alone and let us have our lives and let Aiden have a life with his father. And let's stop doing this. No one's out to get you. And so that's the message I left. Now that won't surface. That doesn't serve her purposes, or the Fitzpatrick or the FBI. So what she'll do is she'll continue on with these clips that she's given. Someone edits for her, doing research through all the host shows, and then that's what they come up with. But a 302 has to be someone has said they're going to kill someone. They have to say murder, basically, and suicide. So she keeps doing it, and she said she's never going to stop making these false federal claims. It's a federal crime to do it. So.
Well, I think it's really crazy. It just shows the lengths that people go to and the extremes people go to make things. I mean, we hear about this all the time, right? I mean, Jessie as well. We work with her a lot. I mean, the amount of trumped up accusations just from that perspective. So it's crazy. Yeah. But what I want to say, when does it stop? But that's such a ridiculous question, because it's like, how long is a piece of string? You can't say.
Right.
But at the end of the day.
Yeah, they're not going to meet with you. They'll make sure they're not going to meet with you. They use these claims as being the victim themselves, even though they're doing all the harm, right? So when you say, I want this harm to stop, then they turn that into something. It's like they always do this. Their attorneys do this. This is how they work. This is how the FBI works. And so we can't get her to stop. She said she's never going to stop. And she says, Brian Fitzpatrick, this congressman, lifelong FBI operative, also the PA Pennsylvania congressman, she's saying that he's pissed at you. He's going to destroy you. He's never going to stop too. So here's a congressman who's connected to Disney who said he's never going to stop trying to put away the author of the original work where I have the copyright. So that's what we're dealing with, is Hollywood's found their tool. And usually it's bought family members who, and she brags about all the rewards and the trip she's going to have and all that she's been given. And there's going to be better rewards than even the position she's been given by Brian Fitzpatrick, the congressman, who's also FBI. So they brag about what they're going to get. So she's not going to stop. And her panic is that she'll be seen for doing wrong publicly. See, that's what she's concerned about, is the documentary coming out, things like that. So the wrong evildoers are afraid of being revealed for doing wrong and evil. That's what it comes down to.
So according to your script, how does this all end?
In my script, in the original, we want to put up the original way it's done, where that's where the debate on set in the Matrix final segment in the trilogy part, where Wachowskis were saying, we're going to keep the exact ending. And everyone's saying, blow it up, because they didn't like the ending. Because in the ending, in mine, Christ returns. And the identical figures at the end are Christ facing off of the architect looking like Christ, because the architect is trying to get the pure power of worship to stimulate his mind, so he doesn't atrophy and go crazy from boredom, from being immortal.
When you talk about the architect, are you talking about the Antichrists, in inverted commas?
And more, you're on it, but it's also more detailed. As a writer's mind, I add more layers. So what you have is he emulates Revelations. He recreates it. It's like man trying to outwit God. So the architect sees an opportunity, historically based, to use the scriptures in order for people to give their free will over. We're conditioned in Western society often to give our free will over to a returning Christ figure. So he takes on that figure role, not expecting the real one will show up. I thought it was a pretty cool ending, and it raises a lot of questions.
Okay, so we have the architect, call it that way, the artificial intelligence. I mean, would that be roundabout correct?
Well, that's what's interesting. That's the interesting thing, is Joel Silver. The Wachowskis didn't understand the work. That was made clear during articles. So Joel Silver, the producer for Warner Brothers, who is part of that franchise that stole it, even though his attorney said he had nothing to do with it, he's part of the franchise. He has a third of the franchise. He said that to the execs in an article, that it was robots in the program. See, that's where they screwed it all up. It doesn't make any sense. It's actually real life entities, living entities in the program. See, that makes it cooler because the stakes are higher. If you're simply fighting a machine, there's no empathy really for the machines. In the real life situation, the agents are real life, robot-like agents. Joel Silver got it wrong when he was explaining it. He didn't do his homework. And so in Oblivion with Disney, after my case was thrown, in Disney and Oblivion, he has real life agents that are in the program. See, that are not allowed to show feelings. So he gets it right after he has all my notes in a faked case, a thrown case. But before that, he thinks it's robots in the program. And so what's interesting is you have the situation where with robots in the program, it's not that intense. The stakes aren't that high. If it's real life agents in the program, so he got it wrong here. He said to his ex, it's robots in the program, robot-like agents in the program. He got it wrong. He's so lazy, he didn't get it right, but he got it right in oblivion after the work is stolen again through him and Disney. See? So the agents are robot-like, and then he even gets it right later. But because
okay,
they
hang on.
Go ahead.
This is very interesting for me because, and please hold that thought, because I don't want you to lose track of what you're saying as well, because I know our viewers don't like me interrupting you, but I simply have to at this point, okay? Yeah. So when you're talking about robot-like agents as opposed to robotic agents, there's a difference. So now I can understand the robotic agents would be the AI. So now when we're talking about robot-like agents, I'm thinking that these agents are human, they have a spirit, they have a soul, but maybe have been tampered with, the mind and stuff like that.
Yes.
So are we talking about super soldiers, mind control assets,
memories, altered memories, inputs? They can see readouts that they use all the time now. Amazon Prime and all these shows use it now. Where back in 93 and 89, 93, when I was writing this, you looked and you saw readouts in front of you. Yeah. And then if I looked at Morné, every piece of knowledge that I have of Morné would instantly flash in front of me. I'd know everything about him instantly on the screen in front of me in my vision field. They thought that was really cool. Bonaventura, who I pitched it to, thought this is so cool. It's so revolutionary. But you're right. It's robot-like agents. And if they're cut from the program, their memories are erased. But what's really wild, though, is that in it, it talks about Neo's best friend is a former agent with his memories erased on purpose by the architect, because he's going to be employed later to face him down at the Cortex building when he enters, because his friend, it's supposed to be a shock for Neo, sees his friend take him out, just like it's supposed to be a shock that my sister's supposed to take me out. See, they're doing this thing. They say, put me on my own screenplay. So they're doing the same tactics in the screenplay that's shown there as covert nasties for the future. And they're doing it now when they say they put me on my own screenplay. So the robot-like agents, if they show fear or feelings, they're eliminated by the room of monitors. Remember the room of monitors? Well, here it is right here. People say don't show it. Take a look. Right here is the room of monitors. Even says all those monitors where they show the architect. It's right there. And so all those agents, their vitals are monitored at the same time. If they show any elevated feelings, they're terminated. And so they have the phrase, no fear. Neo's best friend, which they took it out. Wachowskis didn't understand the works. They took out one of the most basic, important relationships in the Matrix story. The relationship between a former agent and Neo. Now they keep the idea that an agent gives Neo a chip with information about the Armageddon coming. In mine, the agent does give Neo a chip of information about the Armageddon coming. It's the same thing. So they make it up as they go along on set. Write it afterwards, where the actors are supposed to improvise off the original screenplay. While there's a 20-foot rule that if you're within 20 feet of the directors, you're fired, because you're not supposed to see this in hand. Now, latest tactics being used is they're saying this is a forgery. How can this be a forgery? That's their latest try. It's bolted, gold sealed. There's the signature of the director and specialist copyright office. Good luck with that, guys. Good luck.
Wow. Because this is then bringing to, it really is bringing to mind what a lot of the survivors are experiencing right now as well, with memory surfacing, stuff like that. So I'm trying to find that equivalent. My internet is unstable again. I don't know what to do with my internet anymore. Anyway,
you're gonna get hit a lot right now.
So
there's
it's really
a lot of hitting going on.
Yeah, definitely I felt it in the last few days. But what my question really is, so when we're seeing what you're saying, so it's not the robots, so it's not the AI, because what we're also being told is that these guys have created a whole lot of AI type robots already. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
They can post and they can clean the dishes, but they can walk around and be balanced, but they're not something that can control the world. No. Right now.
So not the way. Okay, so are you saying that it's a bit of a psyop that's being created with all these human type robots?
Like, the real concern is the enhanced humans. What you're going to have is implanted, and that's what's in the thing. The whole Neuralink, which was given to Elon Musk, Neuralink, my Neuralink. That's
this
is what I'm saying. It's not the AI robots. No. It's the enhanced humans that we need to be absolutely keeping an eye on. That's what I'm saying. So it's not
Elon Musk.
Are being
yes, exactly. Elon Musk. I wanted to say, did you guys see the robot that he just presented? The first AI robot. His name is Optimus.
Of course.
Optimus is one of the demon generals that Jesse spoke about.
And that's not all.
It's one of the demon generals.
Optimus Prime also comes from the movie industry that created Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the creation of the film industry.
So are they not calling upon a demonic force to take up advanced human robots, not EA, not normal robots? It's just people to start agreeing to robotics in a sense.
It's then the implant, it's the mind control, it's the blocking out of memories, it's all of that. So it's not the robot, it's the humans that they're creating through the MK Ultra and stuff like that, that the handlers are then able to, because it's still, they clearly after they haven't been able to wax the AI clearly. So they're still experimenting with human intelligence, the human spirit, the human mind, all of these things. Did you hear me? I see I froze there. Okay. All right. So that's what it is. It's so the way I see it is it's a bit of a psyop saying that there are all these robots out there and robots are taking over the world. That's kind of like the diversion then. It's not the robots taking over. It's the mind controlled alphabet boys, blah, blah, blah. The assets, that are then products of the alphabet boys. Right. And these are advanced humans like the super soldiers and these things that they've been trained. And this is what Fiona Barnett has been talking about, people.
That's why the screenplay is such a threat. This is such a threat because this gets it right. Joel Silver got it wrong. But isn't that something in Disney, with Oblivion and Disney, after the case is thrown, he gets it right because he had all my notes and everything from the author and testimonies, where I got nothing in Discovery. It was all a kangaroo court. It was Breaker Moran on steroids. So they got to get all my materials. And then Joel Silver finally gets the light bulb goes off finally in his dense head. Oh yeah, it's robot-like is cooler. So like is what we're facing. That's the biggest problem. And it's not going to be your best minds. Your best minds are not going to be the ones that are most enhanced. It'll be those that are lower in their core values and morals. They're going to use skilled people to enhance them, and they're going to be drunk on the power, like my sister, drunk on the power and bragging about what they got and what they're going to have. That's their loyal soldiers. are the ones.
So it's still, now when we're looking at the chakra system now, whether we as human beings have to actually agree that the human body has chakras. Okay, so those are the gateways into the body. So when the human beings that are still operating on the lower triad, which is the lower 3 chakras, which is all about money, power, sex, greed, depravity, when people are still operating on that frequency, we're going to be having problems. So those are the people that, as you say, the ones that are drunk on power, that can be sold, that have a price. And that is telling me as well something, is that what we're saying is they're really not as smart as what they think they are, because otherwise they would have created these super intelligent AI robots. They're creating the psyop, okay? So therefore then there's still something about the human spirit,
yes,
the loosh, as we call it, that these guys are feeding off when because otherwise they would have created their AI monsters a long time ago. So there's still something about the human loosh spirit that these guys, that only comes from the human being, and it has to do with the human spirit and the creation of God.
You hit it again. That's a core theme in the original work, which will be then shown in theaters. You're going to see the original work as it all falls together, back together, which Wachowski stripped and simplified. And so in the theft process. And so what happens is the free will. Remember in Matrix, they babble about, free will, architect, how does he deal with free will? In the original story, you see the architect already has it figured out. If he emulates this Christ figure at the end, he can manipulate humans' free will, because we are conditioned to give our free will over at that point.
Yeah.
That figure.
Exactly.
That makes sense, doesn't it? And then all he needs is his mind to be stimulated.
Yeah.
Now, what's missing from these people that sell out, they don't realize, is the elite that are doing this, Alphabet Boys, Disney, the rest, they are not stupid to a degree. They're not as smart as the actual creators and stuff out there, all these different people I've been running into, how it works on. But they are knowing they need to get rid of the free will of those that sell out. So those that sell out think they're getting, my sister brags about all the rewards, my cousin, all the rewards she's getting, all the bigger rewards, even more she's going to get, like the picture on the floor of Congress, the trips to the Caribbean and London. Okay, great. On an unlicensed elementary school counselor salary. Great. How'd you do that? But the deal she doesn't realize is they do not want you to have free will. So basically you're going into machine mode in the future. You are going to be losing faculties for making free will. And you'll see that bragging start to disappear because they're going to become more robotic, like in nature.
So it's exactly it, because the greatest gift that God has given us is free will and choice. And it doesn't seem to a lot of people when they're on earth, but spiritually, that's our choice. Remember, we have free will and choice to come to earth. Our spirits have free will and choice. So we come to earth knowing this is a planet dominated by Lucifer. We know that, right? So Luciferians control planet Earth, right? We know this. So we have to be completely on our A game here to know what we're dealing with. So when we understand that God has given us free will, so we've already used our free will to come to earth. And in our human bodies, it might seem like we're in a trapped state, but we're not really. And when we go into understanding that by giving our power away, because that's what they do, they will go to the polarization of free will. So in other words, take away your free will in a very deceptive way, which is what's happening now. So, take this, you've got to have the passport or whatever it is, and if not, then this, then da. And everyone's just complying because they're thinking it's going to get back to the way it was. Well, how was it? You're never going to get back to that way. So it really, it's understanding, even if we feel trapped, we came here with free will. And when we look within, and when we do the inner searching, we will find the keys that unlock the chains that bind us.
Absolutely.
So that is the way that it is here. And then what we do is we literally elevate. and we find ourselves, and I'm not talking physically, what do you call it, levitating now. I'm talking about your frequency elevates and you find yourself in different situations. And that's what it is for me, Tom, is about the return of the Christ. So it's the Christos, it's the Holy Spirit, it's the Christ consciousness. And again, I'm going to be nailed for being New Age. Please, this is older than the hills, people. So it really is, it's the return of the human consciousness, the human understanding, the human awakening, the remembering of who we are. And we are the ones that make the change. That's what I think.
As the author that I am, I understand, appreciate the layers. Well said. The layers, I appreciate the layers in human creativity and thinking and conceptualization. So what you're going to see in the future is something quite chilling. You're going to actually see in the future that it'll be a crime and illegal to have the spark of passion in public. It'll be illegal. Let me clarify. It'll be illegal to show a passionate spirit. It'll be illegal. You'll be accused of causing civil disturbance by showing too much feeling. Even if you're not speaking, you're looking like you're too vibrant. You're looking like they're actually going to outlaw that. I guarantee you, as a writer of the piece that I wrote that they got so drunk on and ripped off so many ways, watch for this to happen. It'll be illegal. They're going to come up to you. You'll be accosted and approached for looking like you're feeling too much. Well, there goes layered thinking. Yeah, basically, yeah. You look too vibrant. And they'll make it like that you need help. You'll need help because you're standing out and you're making others uncomfortable around you. Listen to the language. See if that doesn't make sense, that they'll apply this. You know, you're making others uncomfortable. We've received numerous complaints that you, Morné or Thea or, you know, Chantelle, that you are looking a little too, like you're thinking too much. We need to give you something to help.
Yeah, it's funny because a bully will do that to you when when you're shining your light. A bully will come and knock you over.
Yeah,
but that is their reason of jealousy. Yeah. But what is their reason for this? Is it just some people? Is it to kill creativity? Is it to kill?
Yes.
To make sure they have the control, the power, and the influence. They are afraid of others having influence. One of my friends said that too.
Just another bully.
Right. Yeah, they don't want you drawing attention and having influence. Now they're about ego. That's another byproduct that's going to be cut away from being one of these D players that's brought in to be enhanced, is that the ego will be simply utilized for aggression. It will not be used something for their personification or who they are personally. It will only be used as far as if they can do more harm as an instrument of the state. And so you're going to see, really, at the end of the day, they don't realize it because it'll be in slow degrees, that they'll go from some kind of vibrancy, even in their twisted ways, to like the cuckoo's nest, one who flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Wow. Well, I wanted to just say hi to Thea. Sorry, when you popped back in again, where I was in deep conversation with Tom and on a real roll there. So everyone, this is Thea. She does lots of amazing stuff in the background for Aquarius Rising Africa Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa as well. So yeah, and I'm just like so happy, Tom, that we can also be having this chat because it makes so much sense. You know, to me, this is the truth of what is going on. We are, these diversions are created, these psyops are created, that all this terrible superpowered stuff and alien invasion and these massive spaceships with NASA written on the side.
Well, the thing is,
I laugh at that.
Their tactic is to divide, conquer, isolate, turn on each other. They want us to fight each other. And so that's a message for audiences too. I think a lot of your audience is so smart that they'll get this. Although shills are now being applied in heavy duty, I can tell you so many things are now being said, like Aiden doesn't exist. My sons weren't killed. He's lying. The script copy is fake. he's a paranoid schizophrenic, which Robert has started, my sister's trying to push, just pops up randomly in comments. It's like, what's going on? And so what's interesting is I would tell people, do not tear each other up over whether, like you said, new age, things like this. No, it's like the scientists getting together. Let's lay everything on the table, not negate anything. Let's not throw any puzzle pieces off the table until we complete the picture. So let's not divide ourselves over theological or philosophical constructs or beliefs. Let's lay everything on the table, negate nothing. It'll help humanity come together if we start practicing the art of not negating and accepting ability, celebrating people's abilities to have faith, and that they're having the faith in something. Celebrate that. Don't attack what they believe in. Celebrate that they have the ability to believe.
Oh, I love what you say there, because it's so true. The way I see it, it's like we are playing a rugby game or a soccer game, and each one of us is playing a different position on the field. And then it takes the entire team to go for a victory or a success, right? Nice. So it's really about understanding. And as you say, celebrate that everyone has something that they believe in and that they're working with, and that is drawing it forward in a positive. This other divide and conquer about that's right and that's wrong, we've got to stop that. That's one of the big things that we got to look at here at changing. But anyway, sorry, Tom?
No, I said that's what the other side uses. My mom was just accosted by my sister, who's with Brian Fitzpatrick, that congressman, FBI, says he's never going to stop going after me, try to put me away for life and rip me away from my son. But the thing is, what she did the other day was come to my mom and say, listen to this clip, which she was given, which doesn't say anything. There's nothing wrong with a clip at all. It's simply saying, I would like this horror to stop. Doesn't mean murder. But she's playing it over, saying, you have to agree with this. You have to say this is evil. You have to say this. You have to say this. And if she didn't, then you're breaking my heart. You're destroying me and losing it. They use these absolute tactics that you have to be with them or you're against them.
Yeah.
Like, that's another divide and conquer method they use to try to go to our ranks to have us turn on each other. And there's this manic pressure and rage to get you to turn. If you don't agree with them,
but isn't that...
They just turned you into fossil.
Looking at that, isn't that what religion? I'm saying, can you hear me?
I don't think they like what you're saying. They don't like it.
Can you hear me?
Totally frozen.
You're back. Yeah. You're back from outer space.
You at least look good when I was frozen, because there's nothing with it.
Oh, say it again. Say it again. Oh, you look great. You were like, I'm going to start doing that. So anyway, Shanti, I think that.
But okay, what I was saying before I was frozen up isn't that exactly what religion is about?
That's a broad stroke. It's like
that is a broad stroke, but come on, let's be real here.
Well, it goes with religion and belief, faith, the ability to have faith. Again, I said I don't believe in anybody's religion. I believe in their ability to have their faith. I celebrate their faith. That way I'm not at odds with anybody. I can't, because a lot of times religion says we're right, everyone else is wrong. I can't say that. And the best educated guess, even with all my faith applied, I can't say I'm right, everyone else is wrong. I can say I believe this, and if God guides me in my belief system to believe something different, or have more light on something, I'm going to go with that. Or if someone shows me something that's absolutely convincing to me, I have the right to follow my heart. A lot of times this religion setup does lay us in behind bars, saying you cannot move from this, otherwise you're going to lose your whole social structure. You'll be betrayed.
Divide and conquer. It's all conditional. That's my point. And I know I always get myself into trouble, but that's okay. Trouble is my maiden name. However,
you're a mover taker. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, look at the Catholic Church, the Vatican. Let's look at the audition room. The pictures are freely available. Okay, it's the seat of the serpent or whatever, or the serpent's head, whatever they call it. In my opinion, religion, the church, organized religion, is the infiltrator.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the state has always had a relationship. I think, I shouldn't say always, but the state knew one of the biggest concerns of governing bodies, even our founding fathers talked about it, was how to control the populace. How do you give freedom, but also have a control over the populace? There's always this fear of the mob, basically at the core of every government institution. And so how do you control them? If you can placate them, that's what's even in the screenplay that I have, is religion is actually used in a bad way to control those outside the program. They cut that part out.
Yeah. Because
exactly.
Exactly. If you can control somebody's faith, you can control anything. If you control what somebody believes, it's the core thing that's in ourselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what makes the difference between light and day.
That's right.
If you can make somebody believe that light is dark and dark is light, then, I mean, you can make them do anything.
That's right. With rewards and honors attached.
Of course, yeah.
Any of these religious institutions, the greatest fast track for those that want attention and want importance and to matter, as my sister says, is through the religious track. You can move up to deacon, everything else very quickly. And a lot of times it's a popularity contest. It doesn't really look into your background. It simply is, I can behave a certain way and schmooze my way right up to top positions. Pretty soon I'm a televangelist. It's like that's why Pat Robertson, Religious Right, chose televangelism. He was at a Manhattan dinner with a pastor, and he saw all the wealth he had and the great dinner and the great car, the great clothes. And he said, you mean you can have all this by doing that? And he decided to do televangelism in Manhattan. He decided to switch over because he wanted the rewards and the success and the fast track and the easy way. In Pat Robertson's perspective, to go a little further, he even said that the evangelicals were one of the stupidest, one of the dumbest demographics that there is. So his own power base, he was calling dumb because he was using it as an ends to a mean, or a means to an end. And that's what they always say. They say, even in these shows I've been watching, doing some research on, they say that no matter what you do, in the end, if it brings the result you want, then that history is a clear slate. You control that history, you clear that. It's all right, as long as you get what you want in the end. And that's how these bodies work. People need to realize there's no sense of compassion. And if you have the evidence and you run with the tape to the studios, it's not going to solve the problem like in the movies. They're simply going to destroy that evidence. It's more like Kevin Spacey in LA Confidential, when they say, have you shared this with anybody? No, I came to you first. Okay, thanks. You know, that's what they get more mad at you for having evidence and having the truth. They don't want the truth. The truth is a threat to their structure, their power, their influence, and it rocks the boat. People need to realize that. So you need to create films or work together to create studios or whatever to get word out through good hosts, interviews. And that's exactly what I chose. They said, if I was smart enough to write the screenplay, I'm smart enough to follow the trail, but I'm also smart enough to take the right paths. And they say that's what's caused me to win the chess game. So anybody out there who is being oppressed, speak up. Don't become silent. They want you to become silent. You speak up, you can win the game and finish the game from being played.
Absolutely.
What's interesting is as what we're talking about, the difference as well, you know, in some of our conversations we had with Jesse, which goes in line with this whole religious manipulation.
Yeah, we were both groomed in the religious system, but go ahead.
Yeah. So as opposed to the mind control now, it's what they call mind construct, which is therefore then making you think that by doing this, you're a good person, like the whole mask thing. If you wear a mask, you're a good person. You're saving granny, you're saving your child, whatever it might be, you know. If you behave the way others want you to behave and don't create too much waves around you, you're a good person, you're a good citizen. So just be quiet, mind your business. You're a good citizen. You won't get into trouble. You're fine. And the ones around you, oh boy, the ones that are creating havoc around you, you need to tell on them. So it's that whole narrative that's been put into place now. And that's what I see. It's that whole mind construct thing that we're talking about. And that whole, and again, done with religion, done with believing that you have to do something for a greater good. And if you don't, well, then you're not a good human being. And God won't be happy because you have done a bad thing.
Right. They have a system to create bad sheep, basically, they call it bad sheep. What they do
Black
is
sheep.
bad sheep. They get people to want to be, they condition people to want to show they're loyal to the state. They get them to, you know, display that. And they get very proud of showing that they're following what they're told to do. And they do this. You see this all the time. I noticed one thing that was pointed out to me was after the mandate was lifted about covering your face down here in Texas, you still see people walking around after the mandate's lifted. Well, what are you wearing it for? You know,
Yeah.
it's like you don't have to, but they're going to show that they're doing something, they're doing good. You're suffocating yourself. And it's like, but they want to look like they're the heroes. They're the ones that are doing good. Maybe not all of them, but my point is people often get conditioned to be very proud that they're doing whatever they're told to do, regardless of the moral implications or ramifications.
Yeah, and the sad part is that some of them actually think they're doing good. I mean, I saw a mother walking with a kid today, and our mandate has been lifted a long time. We live in Namibia. There's like so many space, little people. And I saw a mother walking with his child, and the child had a black mask covered around. And I was just like, oh. And I was like, why? And you know, and sometimes they think they do the best. That's what they do, you know, because, you know, any parent in this world, every parent in this world do stuff out of love. Mm-hmm. So if they think that is the best for their child, even if it's wrong, they do it out of love, and they're not realizing what they're doing. And that for me is very sad and shocking. And that's just how far the programming has gone, you know. What do you call that? Everybody just wants to do right.
Yeah,
you know?
That's the thing.
That's that God complex thing coming. You have to do right with God, or authority, or it's the government, or it's the medical. So we all want to do something right because we don't want to think for ourselves. But it's very sad. But I know that parent is doing it out of love, but it's sad, and it's just like, what's going on in your head?
Right.
You're not realizing.
You're right. These mass churches, these Costco churches, we call them, you know, mass churches, mega churches, that is exactly part of the Alphabet Boys plan and the state's plan. They want this large bodies coming together where they all can be conditioned at the same time homogeneously. And it's like, instead of small, like it used to be, small groupings. And even the televangelists are saying that these small grassroots churches are competition to them. They don't want that. So it's like back in the old days, you had small gatherings of community. There's more freedom in that. There's more ability to express and make decisions and share and connect. This cattle farm of churches is really, that's my sister attends too. It's like these Costco type mega churches. That's serving the state. That is what they want. It's like you can send a message to a mass of people instantly. You can all have them agree to do the same thing, and you throw in a music ministry to make it sound good. So, yeah.
You've been very quiet there in the corner, and I would love to hear. I know you have some questions there from yourself as well, and I don't know if you have from from that you could inform us of.
Yeah, that I think that conditioning starts in school, where you get a gold little star on your forehead. You tell on your friend for being naughty, you know. But anyways, hello everybody.
Yeah.
Tom, our viewers would love to know, how did the whole concept of the Matrix came about? Was it in a dream, a vision, or how did it come about?
I love that question. It's a combination. I feel that there is a God and there's powers. And I believe that they have personally intermixed and shown me things. And I believe that. So the work actually comes from another level, another dimension. I believe that I had to have a good heart, that I had to condition my heart first to be obedient, to render it almost like a scribe. I knew something was coming. and that I would be faithful in the rendering of it without muddying it or distilling it or inserting myself into it. And that's how it really happened. It was more like a flow of information that had never been seen before, including tech. After I had this period of training, I believe, where I learned that the important thing was how to clear a mind, not to empty it, but to have the discipline not to have bad thoughts come in, where I could clear only positive thoughts and keep it focused, where I had the ability to keep bad thoughts from coming in at all. It was a conditioning process, a learning process. And this thing happened where I felt a presence come to me that was very warm and comforting when I was able to do it. And if a thought popped in the beginning stages of this, it was gone. It was like, I don't want that. And so I actually learned, it was almost like being Grasshopper in the Kung Fu films. And it was like, I learned this. And then it came after I was at Pat Robertson's organization, where I learned what the plans were for this one world order that he was part of in this cabal system, when I was being groomed to be the face of the Christian coalition. So I felt led to whisper through art, is what I like to say. And then it flowed. Boy, did it flow. So in 1988, when he was running for president, he still blames me for him not making president when he says God said he'd be president. So I'm the evil one, according to Warner Brothers' Sylvia Stewart, the plant that's in-house at Warner Brothers to be a first claimant. Robertson's group, Pat Robertson himself said it, Tom's the evil one. So basically, I feel like God, whatever we consider God, gave a flow out of obedience of heart, that I was measured and I would be loyal and not waver. I think I've shown that after all these decades, and that, see it through and be faithful in the rendering of it. And I believe I've done that. And this is what came. I'm still making discoveries from the work. I'm still getting understanding from the layers. So a layered work comes from God often. And in it is everything coming true. Where the one astronomer, Neil deGrasse Tyson, whatever, is saying that, every prediction that's ever been made, even from Tesla, who I admire, 98% of them are wrong. Well, 98% of this is right, even more, maybe. It's all coming true. Fake Oval Office, Neuralink, you name it. Jackson Neck, Surrey, it's all there. So I believe I did my job right. And that there's supposed to be like a Job restoration process at the end, where I would be groomed and ready to take the lead, not for the cabal, but for humanity. Do my part along with other like-minded good people to draw together different people of different aspects and different talents and disciplines who actually have good hearts and compassions also, to make a difference in our world. That's a good think tank. And that could come up with some great answers instantly, just like the screenplay flowed. I believe that's what's going to happen. I had visions of just tech like this, going like this, that would be gifts to humanity. So if I see this through, a lot can happen for the children, the elderly, everyone else. And then I kept getting compassion, be compassionate, be loving. That tells me it's a good source, that this God, that God is good. And so the whole concepts came after I had conditioning, before I was at Robertson's organization. But after I was at Robertson's organization, I saw why I was being called to do what I was doing, and it just flowed. The robot-like agents in the program are Robertson's security force that act robot-like and have the earpieces and the sunglasses and everything. You see the actual images in the Matrix by Robertson's security staff, which are insecure guys that want to be cool and act like that. That's the security. So you see, like Shakespeare in Love, all these images, it's gonna be fun to relay them later, the director's cut, of where all these come from. The interrogation scene, the first scene I wrote, the first scene they shot, is because of Paul Manshine, who is Robertson's go-to guy, who you get a letter to say, Tom's apparently schizophrenic, dangerous, narcissistic, a letter of instructions saying, find Tom Althouse, that he can be called in layman's terms can be called crazy and dangerous. Well, that's a letter of instruction. So that uses the psych field to be a hench person. My sister's using that now, whereas before she spoke against that. But if she's bought, she's spoken for it. So all these elements are now in the piece itself, which is then lifted in the Matrix, all the scenes they thought were cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it's a great question, but when we dissect it later, you'll see how all the things, all those iconic images come from my experience, Pat Robertson, with preceding it is the conditioning I had to make sure I was faithful in the rendering, like a scribe. And so it was amazing experience there, that it just came right through. I was laughing and crying while I'm writing, And it was layered. I'm still making discoveries all these decades later of meanings in it. When they said the fake Oval Office, I'm like,
yeah, I can totally associate as a creative person myself when you just get that thing and it just flows through you, not thinking about what you're drawing, you're not thinking about what you're painting. It just reveals itself to you. It's just like, wow, there it is. So that's
and you
beautiful.
know it's good. It's like riding a surfboard on the perfect way.
You don't do anything. It's God just working through you. You're just like, you know, just moving with it. You're not really thinking. So
that's right. That's right. It's a
very good sign that it's from above, you know.
That's right. And the other side, like Bonaventura from Warner Bros., well said, Morné. They end up going, how did you do this? How did you do this? Well, are they going to understand God kind of taught me how to receive it, and then God gave it, and it's prophetic? They don't get that. They get, this is revolutionary, he said. This very man who says he shepherded and discovered the Matrix story. And he's one of the few that understood it. Yeah, because he took the whole time for me to explain it all to him. Yeah.
Wow.
You had something there.
What's that?
Yeah. How does this all animatrix, how does this fit in to the matrix and everything else?
That's a great question. You ready for this? Here's the answer. And boy, is my hairs are standing up. Great question, first of all. The animatrix was made on set when 2 and 3 were being shot because all the imagery that the Wachowskis had in their visual storyboard, the 600-page storyboard, that lifted images off of this, see all the tabs? Whatever they didn't get to use making up as they went along on set, with all the union wage people waiting for the next thing and the actors improvising, they did shorts and animatrix to add those images and ideas in to take up the rest of the story. Joel Silver said on set in the article, we hope we used up the rest of the story. So in that, I can even give you exact examples where the person falls in one of the shorts to the ground and he just almost hits and his nose bleeds. In mine, you have the scene where the person falls to the ground. Well, the Wachowskis didn't use that in Matrix, so Animatrix was used for that story.
Wow. Okay, now I have to go watch that again.
Yeah.
I have to watch Animatrix again.
Yeah, now watch the last scene. The last scene is very important. What the Wachowskis wanted to do was get credit for the work, to be first claimants for the ideas in the original work that I'm holding up. They don't like when I do this, so I'm going to do it. So in here is all these elements they thought were revolutionary. Bonaventura said revolutionary. So the Wachowskis are saving their career. They did an article in '95 that said they were washed up as writers in Hollywood. They'll never make it in Hollywood. They have to pack their bags and leave unless they're given a project to direct. Later they say they want to be given the science project. Here, all the code names. So what happens is I pitched to Bonaventura, this very man, who actually bragged at a New York bank that he had this amazing screenplay right after the pitch session. A teller told me later. So this man gets the work and has a penchant for saving failed writers' careers, Wachowskis are perfect for him. And in the last, while I'm talking to him about it, he says, is there anything else you have you'd like to share that you're working on? I said, the Dream movie. I'm working on the Dream movie, right? Well, this is why Animatrix is so important. I'm so glad you held that up. But, the thing is, in the Dream movie, I talked about one character is used to experiment on with all these other characters, right? These prisoners. And whatever you dream happens to your body. So you were attacked by a shark, you get mangled. Far-fetched concept, but people loved it. And so this main guy learns how to control his dreams, his thoughts. Remember that disciplinary process I went through? And he learns to fly in his dreams. They're coming to you. Fly in his dreams to escape the danger. All right. What does Neo do in the Matrix when he's got multiple Smiths coming at him? That is not in the Immortals. That's the Dream movie blended in by the Wachowskis, making it Superman. That's why the phone booths. I don't have phone booths. That's stupid. The Smiths could bug every phone booth and get you right there. Stupid. Stupid. And why would he fly to escape? Where's the stakes? Why watch the movie if he just gets to fly away all the time, like in the Dream movie? In the Dream movie, something else happens. He's given responsibility for all the other candidates experimented on. So they all are in his dream. So now he's responsible in that dream. They're testing the pressures and everything else, these scientists. And so he can't teach them to fly in the dream. Try to fly in a dream. Try to fly, and it'll work against you. you basically end up walking in slow motion trying to get away from something often.
Yeah.
But he's learned how to lucid dream, which I do. So what happens is in the dream, one of his mangled friends he became friends with comes back to him in his dream, right? So here's the scenario. His mangled friend comes up, and sorry being long-winded, but this really hits the core of my passion. Thank you for a question. He comes up mangled in a normal voice going, "What's wrong, Jim? What's wrong?" He's mangled. And he thinks in his dream world, if I touch my friend, I can restore him. He goes up to his friend, speaking very calm, grotesquely, touches him, and he goes, "Rah!" Freaks out, jump scare. What do the Wachowskis do in Animatrix for the very last clip? The woman is killed. The robot puts her into the dream to try to restore her. He goes to touch her and she freaks out. Way to go, Wachowskis. In the Animatrix, they don't just use up my immortal screenplay, all the concepts they thought were cool that they want to steal. They also take my dream movie. So the last thing in Animatrix is using that concept they thought was cool, that I think is cool, that they ruined. They don't make any sense of it, but in mine, it's integral to the screenplay in the dream movie. Now, what's interesting is they did Inception then. They did Inception, which is interesting because in that dream movie, here's how it ends. I didn't have happy endings all the time. I wanted to be realistic for people because I thought audiences would be intelligent handling it. You can handle it. So in the ending, he wakes up from this massive thing where he failed. All these people died. All these partial friends died. He wakes up delirious, not sure what's reality, dream world or not. See how the Matrix ties to this? And so what happens is he sees a scientist, lab technician with a scalpel in front of him. He grabs a scalpel off the gurney, backs up, hits a window ledge, and tries to fly. He's in the real world, he dies. So Inception, they have the wife on the window ledge. Dream dies. They even went that far. Great question. Thank you. The Animatrix is using up the rest of the story. That's a quote from Joel Silver. Using up the rest of the story. Using up the images they couldn't steal in the rendering as they made up the Matrix. Makes sense? Mm-hmm. That's why the Animatrix. That's why. So the Wachowskis can get their credit. And they bring in the Japanese directors too. Why the Japanese directors? Because to rip it off, what their policy was to create secondary sources that could be called primary sources. This is our source material. So in 1994, after this is submitted in 1993, right? When this is submitted, Joel Silver gets the brilliant idea to contact the director of Ghost in the Shell. And they give him my stuff. And so the Ghost in the Shell director, all he does is do diagrams of the jacks of the neck, genderless people, which is in there. All that stuff's in there. So all he does is try to take credit of it. So Joel Silver can say, there's the plausible source material. He did the same thing with Oblivion. They were writing a novel from Disney, Oblivion. Guess what happened when my case was thrown in 2014 by their Planet attorneys? They said they're not going to finish the novel. They didn't need the source material anymore. The author's been destroyed, they said. So they stopped working on the novel. Disney gave Joel Silver Oblivion. In it, Jack and Julia, the two sold out siblings of mine that have been brutal to me, brutal to my mom and my son, are named as lead characters. And flying pods, little girl pointing this, the father, the husband, the dad at the end being restored. Everything's there. Even the stadium's there. Everything's there. Identical figures facing off is all there. So Joel Silver got it right, finally, with robot-like agents. Using my brother and sister's name. That's how bad this gets. So they use plausible source materials. So that's why the Wachowski said, we want to do Jackson Neck for real. They say they wrote my work. Then why are they saying they want to do Jackson Neck for real? Because Joel Silver gave Ghost in the Shell director to do it, diagrams, to claim that that's where the source material is. Too late, Joel. 1993, my copyright's 1993. Ghost in the Shell is lifting at 94. But then they're trying to say now that my work wasn't completed in 1996, so they can clear it and say Ghost in the Shell did it. See how it works? It's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. Absolutely. When we get a documentary done, all this is explained. Without the documentary, it's too hard to follow. So with the documentary, it'll be like, wow, there it is. Game over. That's why my sister is losing it right now, manically. Even my mom says she looks totally unhinged. Totally unhinged. She's gone. She needs to get help. She needs to have actually an intervention where she's given an evaluation mentally. She's gone.
It sounds, I think with a lot of people that get sucked into the system, it really is not very good for them in the long run, because just spiritually something happened. Yeah,
well, the spiritual element, all caring.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, all their focus is about the next gain, the next reward, and that's it. So when you're all focused on next reward, next gain, you lost your humanity. Yeah, you don't care about children.
Absolutely,
you're gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad we laid this out. But the great question. Thank you for the Animatrix one. Thank you. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really great, very, very informative chat. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Really enjoyed that, Tom. Thank you, Thea. Thank you, Morné.
Thank you.
Really great. And we look forward to catching up with you again in a couple of weeks, Tom. Always interesting to hear what's going on and who's doing what with you, and loving it. So thank you so much.
I didn't realize I ran the clock out. I'm so sorry. Those are
and then I also was like, what? The clock is almost finished? Are we done already?
I didn't realize that. I'm so sorry. Your commentaries were great. And it's like, sorry about that. I was so excited, passionate about that question. When my hair stood up, I was like, oh, so sorry.
I'm going to go watch it again now. I'm going to go watch it again now with a different eye.
Yeah, think of the dream movie. Think of the dream movie. Yeah.
Thank you.
And keep in mind the detective story. When you go to the detective story, you're going to see, I think it's in there, my exact birthday, like all these messages, my exact birthday. I can't get by it. Oh, well, my exact birthday on the clock. It's on there. There it is. So there it is, 7/2/59. You can see my exact birthday on that alarm clock in Animatrix. So look for that. And then my name across the street. Detective story, look for the detective story when they change the antique shop to antique house, Tom Althouse. It all lines up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's But thank you for the program. Thank you.
And thank you, Tom, for, as always, just sharing your story with us. As I said, really looking forward to having you back again. Probably look with some more interesting questions that come along. So always good to have those. Okay, guys and girls, mwah, thank you so much. God bless you all. Take good care of yourselves. And if you haven't already, please give us a like, a share, subscribe. Find us on Facebook, BitChute, Twitter, Telegram.
Rumble, everywhere.
All over, just find us.
Yeah.
God bless you all. Cheers.